The first guitar I bought was a black 6-string acoustic guitar. I think it cost about £15, about $30. The most important thing about it was that it was black.
The first instrument I picked up was probably a saucepan.
My first band was called Shock Treatment, after the Ramones song.
And the band was called the Ripper Band. My first concert was the Jackson 5. When I was like 10 years old, I was obsessed with the Jackson 5.
My first concert, I went to see Mick Ronson, who was David Bowie's guitar player.
The first song that made me really cry was, as an adult, was Sinead O'Connor. She did that Prince cover version, Nothing Compares to You.
The Beatles and I Love Her.
I think the first instrument I ever played was a stylophone. A small electronic instrument with a pen that you move over the surface of a metal keyboard to make a buzzing sound.
The first instrument I picked up, believe it or not, was the family violin.
I've only ever been in one band. I formed Duran when I was 16 years old.
First band I joined was called Bollo, spelt B-O-L-L-E-A-U-X.
My first concert was at Birmingham Town Hall, and it was a performer called Gary Glitter.
First concert I went to was the Stranglers, and it was at Brunel University. I think I was 17 or 18, and I remember the support group was called London, and they had a song called Everyone's a Winner.
I think the first time a song made me cry was possibly Pale Blue Eyes, a fantastic Lou Reed song that really is truly sad.
Well, I think as a kid, the first song that made me cry was Who Killed Cock Robin. I just remember it was so devastatingly tragic, that song.
I reunite with the band most days of my life on some level. I'm the only member of the band, I believe, that has been there for every single minute.
I've been in the band right the way from the start. So I joined in 1980, and Nick and I have been in it continuously right up until today. So you can't really say that I've been reunited with the band. The band has been reunited with me.
The 5 original band members met at the Covent Garden Hotel in London. I don't remember the year. I mean, feels like it's almost 10 years ago now.
The first real reunion was in 2001. We all went off to the south of France, hired a villa down there, and all just plugged our instruments in and jammed for days, and it was fantastic.
First time I saw Mark Ronson DJ was at a wedding in New York in about 1996.
Have I seen Mark Ronson DJ? I don't think I have.
The first time I saw Mark Ronson DJing was when we appeared on stage with him in London, and halfway through his set we kind of put the guitar down and just started DJing in the middle of the set, which was quite amazing.
The first time I saw Mark Ronson DJ was some years back now, and he caught my eye and immediately put on a Duran song. So I went up to him to reprimand him, and he laughed, and I walked off, and he put another one on.
The first time I was truly starstruck was after Live Aid in Philadelphia, in the penthouse of the hotel we were staying in, where the Rolling Stones were throwing a party, and I met Keith Richards for the first time. I was struck dumb. All I could think of saying was, "Oh look, we're wearing the same scarf." To which he replied, "Well, that's a good enough reason to leave."
I don't know that I've ever been starstruck, but I was certainly moonstruck when I met Buzz Aldrin, because I'd never ever met anybody who'd been on the moon before.
The first time I was really starstruck was when I met David Bowie, because I'd been a huge fan for years, and I finally got to meet him, and I got invited out for dinner, and I turned up to the dinner, and David Bowie was at the dinner, and my chair was opposite David Bowie, and I was just lost for words. I just didn't know what to say, because he was like my childhood hero.
first time I was starstruck was seeing Phil Manzanera of Roxy Music glide out of his black Mercedes limousine into the lobby of the Holiday Inn in Birmingham in 4-inch heels and a tight black sharkskin suit. I had 2 dreams last night, and the first dream involved Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. And the band, Duran, were involved. I forget the details exactly, but I remember as we left, and we were in some European city, some very picturesque European city, and we'd been working with them. We'd been working on a song with them. And as we walked away, Keith said, "You're the best thing that could have happened to us." In attempting an analysis of that dream, I apply the thinking that all characters within one's dream are aspects of one's own personality. So Mick and Keith really aren't Mick and Keith, they're just the Mickian and Keithian aspects of myself. So the parts of myself that they represent are grateful to the parts of myself that are represented by... Are you really interested in this?
My dream begins on a very hot, dusty, dry day somewhere in Eastern Europe, in an old castled town. No people anywhere. And then I could see a tank, and it rolled across behind a building. So I went running down to find it, and it took me ages to find this tank. And when I reached it, it was empty, but the engine was running. So I jumped inside, and I started driving. And I was driving on this bright green plastic road, something like a jigsaw, just pieces that were all fitted together, and they rattled as I drove. And then I came to a town, and it was in the middle of a desert. And there were prostitutes all hanging on the walls, waiting to be picked. And the 2 most attractive prostitutes were people I knew. Haven't got a fucking clue what that means.
Recurring dream, and last night I had it again. I'm outside. It's dark. It's raining. I'm not sure where I am. Then suddenly, the stroboscopic light comes into my eyes, flashing, flashing, flashing. I recoil a little. I can't see who's creating the flashes, but I realize it's a camera. Then I see the girl walking away, and I follow, but she disappears. She leaves clues, and I spend a long time trying to find my way back to her. And then I realize she's taken frames of my life away, and she now has them. And this becomes much more of a problem later in the dream, where I need to remember something from that moment, but I realize everything in my mind from that time has been erased. She's taken the photo and has that whole time with her. So I need to find her to get that moment back so that I can remember and put everything back in the right order. So I keep looking, and I find that I'm getting closer and closer, and then I wake up. I think I just have too many balls in the air at the moment. I can't hold on to everything at the same time, and I don't want any of them to drop on the floor, because they're rather more like Christmas tree baubles, old ones that could break very easily. When the dream starts, I'm in fast forward and everybody else is in slow motion. And it's really confusing because I'm trying to make contact with people as I pass them in the street, but I just can't connect. I'm so discombobulated. So as the day progresses, I relax a little and think, it's fine. Eventually someone will be going at the same speed and we can talk and I can converse with them and things will be okay. But it just doesn't happen. I keep moving past them. And then eventually I get home and I turn on the television because I believe that the television will be in sync with what I'm feeling and thinking and doing. But it's not. The television is in slow motion. But the newsreader on the television is speaking to me. And I look around the room, but there is no one else. He's speaking to me. And he asks me to push eject on the DVD player. So I go over and I push eject. And as I push eject, he gets faster and I slow down. I think I'm slightly tired and jet-lagged, so everything is completely out of sync, and the newsreader's right. I'm lying in a darkened room. I don't know where I am. I don't know whether I'm awake or whether I'm asleep. All I can see is a faint white light several meters away on the wall. It's an elongated triangular shape, and it's still. Then suddenly it moves to the right, several feet to the right. Then it's stationary again. I wonder whether I am awake. Maybe it's a reflection from some traffic outside in the street, coming through the curtains in the room, wherever I am. But then it moves again. This time, it moves to the left, very rapidly. I go through the logical explanations and try to understand what the light is and why it's moving. How can it move like that? What's the explanation? But I can't find one. Then the light moves again, very, very slowly, back to its central position. By now I'm feeling rather uncomfortable. I stare at the light, waiting for it to go away, but it doesn't. Suddenly, it moves incredibly quickly around the entire room, and it's above my head. I turn the lights on. I'm awake. I really do not know what it means, and I still do not know where I am, but I know it happened.